Welcome to my thoughts on E3, and if you hear some extra sort of wind or birds, that's because my window is open, because this light is on, and it is incredibly humid today. So that's why I'm also wearing a sort of, sleeveless top. It's so warm. I don't do heat, it's not good for me. So, what I'm going to do in my sort of E3 roundup is go through the conferences themselves first and what I thought of the presentations. And then I will go through the games that I found interesting or notable for some reason or another. So if a game gets, not mentioned by me, that's because I either didn't see it or I don't care enough. So, welcome to the world of multiple opinions. EA. We will start covering the conferences with EA, who were first. So, that's kind of appropriate. And so boring. I had to sort of watch half the conferences again to remind myself what was happening, because a lot of them were not great, but yeah, EA's was particularly dull, I'll be honest. Also, I've just been informed a new Lego, like a massive, it's sort of like the modular Lego set based on Lego Ninjago, but it's like a big shopping thing, has been announced. Oh my god, it looks so good! I need it. Anyway, that's nothing to do with E3. Let us talk about EA and how dull they are. EA did the sort of standard thing, what is now becoming the standard, and did some scripted voice chat. At the very least, it felt scripted, even if it wasn't. No. People do not talk the way that these people did in the online. It was very sort of coordinated and talking just about the game and nothing else. Whereas, no, that doesn't happen anywhere, ever. I've never seen that happen in voice chat. I have once. This was before I had a microphone, and I went onto GTA Online and I was doing a heist with 4 people, 2 of which had mics and 2 of which didn't. 2 of them were talking and they were in the other thing and we got massacred, and it didn't go well. The sort of scripted chat, the scripted voice, all that kind of thing continued from Star Wars Battlefront 2 version 2, still hate that name, into, I can't remember if it was EA or a different conference, but the new BioWare IP, which is called Anthem, which I will get onto later. But yes, they had scripted stuff there, and oh my god, it's painful to listen to. I'm sorry. Surely nobody enjoys listening to that. Nobody enjoys listening to voice chat anyway, do they? Surely. I don't. On the theme of Star Wars, I was going to get onto this in the game section, but I'll get onto it now. The single player campaign is a very much hyped feature of Star Wars Battlefront 2 version 2. However, during the E3 presentation, no single player content was displayed to us. The only thing that was displayed to us was multiplayer, and that's it. It was just multiplayer, showing us how that works. Basically the same as last time, but with slightly better space-related battles and more sort of places to go. But that's it. That's all we saw, and we saw a very stern lady talking about Star Wars and the story, but we didn't see any of the story at all, which is disappointing, is how I will put it. Other excruciating parts of the EA conference include an extended football stand-up comedy routine. This is possibly the worst crowd, in fact, for football stand-up, a conference for video games, because I don't think I heard a single laugh out of the whole thing. And it was excruciating to watch, excruciating to listen to, and I don't know if I feel more sorry for the audience or for the stand-up comics that had to do it. Speaking of that, however, there was again in EA's conference far too much focus on sports games and almost nothing else. Even when they did a segment about the new Need for Speed game, that's lasted for 5 minutes, if that, and then back on to sports, more sports, look at the sports, you love the sports. Please stop with that, EA. I don't like sports as it is, and that did not help me at all. I don't care about any of your sports games, I'm sure a lot of people do, but I don't. I want to see the other kinds of games you're coming up with, and please show us more of that instead of crap about sports and Terry Cruz's nipples. Outside of sports though, there was a big theme during the EA conference around Let's Players and streamers. In fact, several videos included Let's Players screaming in a really not overreacted and scripted way about games. And also a thing called the Creator Cave. I'm just going to leave that there. It was a place where they had loads of people at computers, and it was called the Creator Cave. When it came time for the Need for Speed presentation, they decided, again with YouTubers, they decided to get a YouTuber to do the intro. Now, YouTubers are sort of, they should be tended to relied upon. Fucking hell. I can't be relied upon because my words don't work. YouTubers tend to be relied upon for sort of nice stream of consciousness commentary and being able to think of things on the spot. However, this guy couldn't because his auto cue broke partway through his speech. He just sort of crumbled and collapsed and couldn't think off the top of his head what to say. So, I don't know, they could have probably hired a better YouTuber to do that, and it made for a very, not a very good experience to be watching. Genuinely though, other than that, EA was tedious to the max, and I don't say that lightly, but it was so dull. I nearly fell asleep. That's how bad it was. Microsoft! So, Microsoft back of course, and their emphasis was very much on 4K. In fact, as Total Biscuit said on his stream Supercup, take a drink every time you hear 4K, except don't because you'd probably die. The reason for this push of 4K is purely because of the announcement of their new console, what was revealed last year as Project Scorpio, a sort of mysterious name, even though we knew it was basically like the PS4 Pro but for the Xbone. We've been given the specs now and we know full well that it is technically going to be the most powerful console, but it's called the Xbox One X. That's a fucking terrible name. Here's my bits of paper with notes on. I can't stand the name Xbox One X. I think that's really sort of dumb. It doesn't roll off the tongue. It doesn't make you go. It doesn't make someone go, ooh, Xbox One X. That's too much. Too many syllables involved in that. PS4 Pro, because that's a nice act. Because PlayStation 4 condenses down to PS4. It's sort of quite nicely flowing. Nintendo Switch. Or Xbox One X. That's too many syllables. This console, instead of pushing frame rates like I believe they should all be aiming towards at least 60 frames a second. I am in that crowd very much. I'm not going to hate a game for being at 30, but I would certainly prefer it to be at 60 or above. Instead of prioritizing this though, they've pushed the 4K thing and they've said you can play 4K Blu-rays on it and you can do all this, and not enough people have a 4K TV for this to be a good thing. The people who will buy an Xbox One X, especially at the price point, even though they're not making any money off it, which is about, $500, is gonna be sort of the high-end market, which may well have 4K TVs, but they're trying to appeal to everyone here. And I don't think they will with this. It's too much push on the 4K, not enough push on performance and frame rates. Their decision of game to show off the 4K thing was Minecraft. Minecraft in 4K. You know, the thing that's been on PC for absolutely ever, and they're talking about how it's got now shaders and everything else. You mean the things that mods on PC have provided for literally years, and you are only just bringing them to the console, and this is supposed to be an innovation, and 4K Minecraft, because it's Minecraft and it's aesthetic, makes no fucking difference. Always, console developers should be optimizing performance and prioritizing performance over things like the resolution. It should run well, and it should run at a decent frame rate. It should not be priority that it runs at 4K above that. Personally, I won't be getting one. This is because pretty much every game that's coming out on Xbox One has already come out on PC or will also be coming out on PC. So I personally have no need to get one because I have a nice gaming PC. However, What the Xbox One X is saying to me, its selling point, or its target market, is the people who want a more powerful console that can do better stuff, but they can't afford a PC. They can't afford a gaming PC, so they'll only have something like a laptop or whatever else, but they want that bit of extra performance. That is the market that they're selling for. That's why they've made this console the most powerful. I don't know if they have enough games or the target market to sell it well. We'll see. Let's try and be optimistic. We'll see where it goes. As usual, half the people in the Microsoft conference as well tended to resemble robots in a way. They sort of don't understand human emotions. Yeah, they're a bit like Data. They just sort of talk and it's like there's no passion behind any of it. They're just PR mouthpieces. But, you know, that's E3 in a nutshell, really. Also, just back on the One X briefly, a weird sort of thing. When they were talking about it, they said, and from the start, all your Xbox One accessories will work with Xbox One X. Of course it will. Why would they not work? It is just an upgraded version of the same console. Why would anyone make it so that that wouldn't work? That was just a sort of like, oh, well, they're amazing. They're being so good about this. No, they're not being good. They're being that's what should happen. That's not something, and they were applauding it. You don't applaud things that should working. Also, Microsoft, for some reason, were pushing Mixer, their new sort of chat streaming service during the conference. They called their sort of group of people that they were in the mix pot. What? The mix pot? That sounds like making of drugs. I don't. Whatever. Fucking hell, Microsoft. Because, you know, Microsoft are corporate shills, they decided to get Porsche on board with their sort of presentation when they were advertising Forza, however you pronounce it, 7, and got a Porsche on stage. And used the line, Porsche shares our view for the future of esports. No, they don't. They do not care about esports. Porsche, the car company, care about making and selling high-performance cars, or, well, I say high-performance, it's Porsche. They do not care about esports or the future of esports. It has no impact on them at all, other than the money that you pay to license out their cars. And of course, it wouldn't be Microsoft without talking about pre-orders. And guess what? People applauded pre-orders. Why? You can pay your money for this game that you have no idea whether it'll be good or bad right now. Pay us money for it right now, and people were applauding. This makes me deeply sad. I don't like pre-orders. I've been burnt by the pre-order bug, Batman Arkham fucking Knight, and I think that is quite frankly disgusting. So yeah, the pre-order bubble will hopefully burst eventually. I really hope it does. And we will get on to something better. Bethesda. A mostly good conference, actually, apart from the sort of... Look, the fact is, with Bethesda, the things that they showed were all coming out this year. Whether they looked good or bad, they were all coming out this year. And there's nothing beyond 2017 has been shown. And that's a really strange thing for an E3 to do. And I don't know if I like that. So does that mean just Bethesda's going to go silent? Also, I'm going to mention this now, 2 new versions of Skyrim were announced. One for the Switch, which was shown at the Bethesda conference, and another for PSVR, which was announced in the PlayStation conference during the PSVR section. Why not just announce them together? You have your own conference, do it there. So anyway, most of the Bethesda conference was actually just one long video. I mean, there was an intro, one long video, and then it was an outro and it was over. So very weird. They had this thing, the sort of overarching thing towards it called Bethesda Land, which was a sort of cartoony theme park with some cute aesthetics, and sort of went around the games that they're making. And it was really quite a surreal experience, to be honest. Also, Bethesda have decided to bring back the subject of paid mods in probably a slightly better way than they did last time. I'm still not a huge fan of it in a way because of the way they're implementing it. I would still prefer there to be a donation button where you just go, here's this mod, do you want this mod? Do you want the creator of this mod to be paid? If so, how much would you like to pay them, rather than pay $10 for this mod? The mod system does seem to be working a little bit better this time, and it's sort of only curated and like very curated and approved mods, and we know that they'll need to be updated and whatever and supported. So there is that. It's certainly much better than the sort of, hey, you're a modder, put it up for sale and make some money regardless of how good or bad it is. Again though, I'm going to stress this, Bethesda are trying to bring back paid mods, and it's a very grey issue. Modding itself is a very grey issue, as we found out last week in the news, but, you know, that's life, isn't it? So yeah, overall thoughts on the Bethesda conference, mostly fine actually, I didn't mind it at all, and I need to splice in a thing where I'm shouting Bethesda into the microphone because I didn't do that.
Ubisoft!
So hey, Ubisoft's new logo is shit, isn't it? In fact, it looks like a pile of shit. The joke that's been made a million times over the internet, and I'm going to do it as well because I'm a shill. The Ubisoft conference was interesting, I'll put it like that, compared to last year. Last year was a bit sort of crap. This year, not bad. I didn't mind it at all, actually, and there was a couple of weird moments in it. The first weird moment is the panda dancing. The weird sort of thing for Just Dance that was Mortal Kombat and thing, very weird. Sort of, there was Mortal Kombat characters, and then there were also panda. It was a... I don't understand. I'm really warm as well, so I might just be going slowly insane. Also in the Ubisoft conference, when they decided to show off the new Assassin's Creed game, as you would, because, you know, Assassin's Creed is a very big franchise. The game itself looks okay. I'm not going to mention it in my interesting games section because I don't particularly care, because for some reason it's going all level up and items and weird things. To show off the gameplay of this game during the stream, of course, afterwards it was completely normal showing off the gameplay in the post-show. However, during the actual show, to show off the gameplay of this game, they had a man outside on a matted monitor, and they were filming that over the shoulder, and that was our gameplay reveal. What the fuck? This may be because they blew all their money getting Shigeru Miyamoto on the show to talk about the new Mario Rabbids crossover game, but I don't understand why. I don't get it. It's so weird. I want to see what this game looks like. I'm not staying for your post-show. I want to see this game that you've made, and you're just showing me some twat playing it and over the shoulder. What are you doing, Ubisoft? Aside from that, it was mostly fine, just games, and games. Some that looked interesting, some that didn't, of course. I will get onto that.
PlayStation!
So, the PlayStation conference. Not too much interesting I've got written down, actually. Yeah, 3 things. 1, really over the top. Like, there was just... This is how much money we have. They started with a sort of sitar cum water display show, which was very odd. Then, while they were doing gameplay for... Oh, fuck, what game was it? I can't remember. Doing gameplay for a game, they had some Cirque du Soleil type dancers in, like, on the proper strings hanging down and spiraling around, and really confused by the PlayStation show, to be honest. Just the sort of message of, this is how much money we have. It's all of your money, because that's what it felt like. Also, when they decided to do their VR showcase, they showed off quite a few interesting games, mostly horror though, which I wouldn't be a fan of. I'm not a fan of horror games as it is, particularly, and VR horror doesn't appeal to me at all. However, the game they decided to show off the most during their VR was a fishing spin-off of Final Fantasy 15. Yes, there is a fishing version of Final Fantasy 15, and it is literally just fishing, but, you know, in the Final Fantasy universe, that's it. VR fishing is in itself not a bad idea. It's a sort of decent enough concept for the format, but why Final Fantasy themed of all the things? In the end, the PlayStation show was not too bad. There was a couple of interesting things, like the Horizon Zero Dawn expansion, and Dad of War. Still looks like Dad of War. I don't know. God of War 4. What is this? Looks really weird. I don't know what they're doing with that, but we'll see. You know, everything's a few years off because it's still at E3, so there we go.
Devolver Digital.
And the final conference that I watched, I did not watch the PC Gaming Conference because fool me twice, and yeah, I'm not fucking watching it again. So, Devolver Digital as their first conference this time, and it was like an acid trip. I am not exaggerating when I say that either. It was an utter beautiful mess, a huge parody on the whole E3 hype train, that kind of industry that's revolving around E3 and whatever. It was a complete piss take of that, all pre-recorded and like just jokes and bullshit, and it was amazing. I'm not going to spoil any of it, but it was like an acid trip, so I'm going to link it in the description, and I'm really going to recommend that you watch it because it's fucking hysterical.
Games.
So now we're going to move on to games that I found interesting. I'm just going to go through a list of them because this is already nearly half an hour now of me recording. And so I'm just going to list them and tell you roughly what I think about them in a few sentences. Anthem, the new BioWare RPG. And, I don't know, it looks a bit like a cross between Horizon Zero Dawn and Destiny in really strange sort of suits of armor. So it's like Fallout 4 bits in it as well, but you can change the suits of armor. I don't know. I'm sort of very tired of open world games as it is, and this is a sort of co-op focused open world, which is even worse in my mind. So we'll see. We'll see with that. A Way Out. A Way Out is from the makers of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, a rather fantastic little game that you should probably go and play. This time it is about two men in prison, and it is co-op only, so you can play it split screen. In fact, it is always split screen, but you can play it either with someone or online, and it looks really strange. It's about these two brothers, I think they're brothers, or these two people in prison, and they're trying to escape. And the way it's formatted is amazing. You can have one character playing in a cutscene and the other character just walking around playing the actual gameplay of the game. And the way they've actually oriented all of this looks really interesting and stylistic, and I'm gonna keep an eye on that one, definitely. The Last Night. This game stood out to me instantly because of its art style. It's pixely, but the animation involved with these pixel art stuff is absolutely stunning. The world itself looks stunning. It looks like a very sort of Blade Runner-esque style world, and even a Blade Runner-esque style plot. But, just, if you do nothing else, look at the art style from this game because it is just beautiful. Dragon Ball FighterZ looks like a 2D fighter with Dragon Ball characters in it. The animations in the game, especially, well, the most notable one is Goku turning Super Saiyan, is incredibly accurate and comparable to the sort of original animation that was done in the anime. That's the word I was looking for. It looks superbly animated as a game, and to me it looks like a sort of cross between it's Dragon Ball Z Budokai is the name of the series. It looks like a cross between that and more traditional 2D fighters like Mortal Kombat or Skullgirls is another fantastic one. Those kinds of things. It looks stylish as anything, really in keeping with the art style and the animations, and definitely want to keep an eye out. Much more sort of interesting to me than the Xenoverse games. XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. This is the first expansion to XCOM 2, and while we didn't see any gameplay, it's probably going to be pretty obviously the same as the standard XCOM format, and this sort of plot looks really interesting. It's like more different aliens and weird things, and more XCOM 2. Nothing wrong with that. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. The trailer for this game doesn't show as much of the gameplay, but I think we can safely say it's going to be very similar to Ori and the Blind Forest, of which this game is a sequel. So very sort of Metroidvania platform type stuff. And the plot is sort of continuing on from the first one, except now more different things are dying and we're moving into a more industrial age and there's people and it looks, the trailer at least, looks absolutely stunning, and I hope that art style carries. I hope they can make it, the rest of the game, look that good, because that's a fantastic trailer.
Super Lucky's Tale.
I reviewed a game not too long ago called Snake Pass, and, well, not reviewed, I played the game. And this game sort of captures the essence of old 3D platformers like Banjo-Kazooie and that kind of thing. This seems to be another one of those kinds of things. This seems to be a very sort of year for it, this sort of last year or two. We've had this, we've had Ukulele, even though that wasn't received very well. And now we've got this. It looks really charming, very sort of friendly to everyone, like kids will be able to play it and they won't be like, ah, and adults can play it and probably get quite a meaty challenge if they want to. And it looks just like an old 3D platformer brought to the modern age again. So that looks very interesting.
Tunic.
Tunic is the second game in a row. For some reason, there's 2 games in this year whose protagonists are foxes. This last one, Super Lucky's Tale, Lucky is a fox, and it was actually, I'm just going to go back to Lucky's Tale, is a sequel to, I think it's just, yeah, it's called Lucky's Tale, or Lucky's Journey, something like that, which was a VR title for PC that launched last year, although Super Lucky's Tale is not a VR title. Back to Tunic. Tunic is not like that at all. Tunic is in fact very Zelda, original Game Boy Zelda, NES Zelda type game. It's very that, like you're on a screen or whatever, and you shoot at the things on the screen and it'll come back and whatever like that. It looks really stylish, really nice, and hopefully the gameplay will back it up, because the gameplay of the original Zeldas, at least most of them, still holds up quite well. In fact, I have 1 or 2 on my 3DS downloaded, and they are not bad games at all. They have held up incredibly well.
Artful Escape.
This game interested me mostly because it involves a lot of guitar. In fact, your main weapon in the game is a guitar, and you are sort of sliding down. It's a very platformy style game, but you befriend and defeat and talk to animals using your guitar, because of course you do. And there's a lot of sweet guitar related things like licks and whatever in the trailer. So if you like guitar music and you like video games, this might be interesting to you. I don't know.
Cuphead.
Now, Cuphead. Cuphead is something else. It is just probably the best looking game of E3. And I'm saying something considering I really love the look of The Last Night. And this game looks better. It's in a just amazing, unique art style. I say unique, it is in fact perfectly emulating the style of 1930s Disney cartoons, but in such a perfect way. It's really close and it's really, really satisfying to look at. The game has changed slightly since it was originally announced. I think it was either 1 or 2 years ago. It was supposed to be a boss rush when it was initially conceived. However, now they've added sort of platforming and shooter elements into the game. So it does look, while a bit different to the original thing, it still looks really good, really stylish. I love the design on everything that I've seen from this game.
Wolfenstein 2.
We've known for a little while now that there is going to be a new Wolfenstein out, which I do not remember the subtitle of. I think it's the new Colossus or something like that. And the trailer for it was pretty damn fun. It started out with a sort of fake old style film, but involved a big Nazi mecha dog failing to save a man by attacking a truck. So, you know, that's very fun. Not much is particularly known about it at the moment, other than it's a new Wolfenstein game, so it's probably going to be pretty fun.
Ooblets.
What do you get if you cross Animal Crossing? How appropriate. Stardew Valley and Pokemon together. If they all had a bastardized love child, you'd get Ooblets, a weird game where you farm and you talk to animals and you collect sort of weird plant-based creatures that you can fight with in battles, and very weird. I've been following this game since before E3 this year, and it looked really interesting at the time. It still looks really interesting, and have a look. Keep an eye on it. It might be something really fun. It sounds like a really sort of mishmash, but quite unique in its own way, presentation for a game.
Dishonored, Death of the Outsider.
Dishonored Death of the Outsider was originally thought to be DLC for Dishonored 2. It is in fact going along the Far Cry Blood Dragon style and being a complete standalone expansion. You do not need to own Dishonored 2 to get this sort of little bite-sized version of this game. The gameplay, I can imagine, will be very similar to normal Dishonored games, except this time you are playing as a completely different protagonist who was in Dishonored 2 and I've not seen or yet. I've got Dishonored 2, I've just not played it yet, okay? So this is going to follow a slightly different plot to the first two Dishonored games, which did follow very similar plots to each other. As sort of, you know, Monarch gets killed or overthrown and you have to get your way back there, and yeah, that was basically the plot of those two games. And now it's a bit different, so cool. Bite-sized but different Dishonored, why not? In a shock revelation, despite Ubisoft saying it wouldn't happen, Beyond Good and Evil 2 has been given a trailer. Defying all expectations, well done Ubisoft, even though you lied to do it, which I'm not a fan of. Beyond Good and Evil 2 has got a trailer, looks good. You know, we don't know anything, we've not seen any gameplay, but we know that it exists. Yes! Mario Rabbids. None of us really knew what to expect of this game, but what we've ended up with is Nintendo and Rabbids themed XCOM. Okay, that's a thing. In a sort of twist that I don't think anyone saw coming, this game is actually a sort of turn-based like tactics thing. It is XCOM, but it's themed like that, and it looks really nice and stylish and lovely. And another reason when this comes out for me to want to get a Switch. The Switch is doing a very good job of marketing itself because it's coming up with a lot of good games. Mario Odyssey? Mario Odyssey has been given a thing, a trailer and a gameplay thing. It looks really weird. I don't know what they're doing with it. Basically, Mario with his hat, which is now a ghost thing, can now possess people and things. And if that doesn't give you an existential crisis, I don't know what will.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Now this is a game that, let's be honest, Shadow of the Colossus is a classic. It is one of the best games of all time, and that is not a very disputable fact, to be honest. Now, for some reason, despite having a remaster on the PlayStation 3, it is now getting a remake on the PlayStation 4. This is a thing that I don't really feel the need for. When this was announced, I was like, I wasn't thinking, yes, I need this. I was thinking, why? Money. I'm betting it's money. It's got to have something to do with money. While they didn't make it clear at the presentation what it was supposed to be, it was announced after the fact that it is a remake and not a remaster, so we won't be getting 2 remasters within 2 generations, but at the same time, this is a game I do not feel needed a remake, but it's got one, so the games industry for you people. Assassin's Creed Origins. The only reason I want to talk about this game, because I found it, I told you again, I found it wholly uninteresting, is the pre-orders! Yeah! The pre-order sheet for this game is a pile of wank. I will put it on the screen now. Look at this. This is rivaling Watch Dogs in its level of bullshit. Also, the biggest, sort of most expensive thing you can pre-order is $700. I am not exaggerating, that is the figure, and you get a 70 centimeter tall figure, which is basically up to my, like, near the top of my legs. You know, I'm not quite that sure. Not far off though. And finally,
Shadow of War.
Shadow of War looks good. It looks really good. It looks, again, like a really nice expansion of the previous game. It seems to be doing exactly what a sequel should be doing, adding more content, to the original to make it just that bit better. And for some reason, all the orcs are from the north of England, because they talk in that really weird, non-distinct northern voice, because of course they do. And after nearly 50 minutes of talking, that is my E3 roundup done. I am sweating like a fucking pig, so I'm going to go and probably have a cold shower. Thank you very much for watching this. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Why not? You can subscribe to me here, in fact, just there. And also I do some news, which you can watch there, and I do lots of Let's Plays, which you can watch there. So, again, E3's over for another year. And you know what? Thank fuck for that.